Hello everyone, and welcome to another installment of Erin's Book Club. I must say, forgive me for my looks. I've just finished a very long day at the stable, and I am not feeling 100%, so this is not going to be my most glamorous video. I do, however, have some great news. After some much hard work and reading, I have come to the end of the last book of the Stephen King Dark Tower series. Now, remember when you meet an old friend and let's say you learned all about this friend when you first met him, and then later on in life, when you have the maturity of actually hearing what the friend has to say just to hear it instead of hearing until he finishes talking so you can say your own thing, and how you learn a lot more by listening that way. That's kind of how I feel about the entire Stephen King series. I've read the entire series, I think in 2004, and let it sit for years. And now I have finally finished the series. And I have to say, I really, really enjoyed it. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to say this is not going to be a spoiler-free video. So if you have not read the Stephen King Dark Tower series, stop listening to the video right now, read the series, and then come back. Because I want to discuss a few things. I must say, first and foremost, I love how Stephen King predicted future events that would happen on the book without actually giving it away throughout all of the books. I love how he did a forward and an afterword on every book because I love to hear about his opinion on the novel. When I first read these books and Stephen King started interjecting himself into the series, I got really upset and I thought he was being very petty. I thought he was being very, look at me, I'm the most amazing author. And then I really sat down and read these books, and he was actually self-deprecating to a lot of the aspects of the Stephen King character in the book. You almost didn't want to know him. You almost didn't like him. I must say that I struggled a lot with this book when they killed off Eddie Dean. I struggled when they got rid of Susanna, and I absolutely bawled when they got rid of Oy. Oy was, I think, the heart and soul of the entire series. It bothered me more losing Oy than it did actually losing Jake again. Each death was really felt. The one of Oy was just heartbreaking. And again, Stephen King tends to like to take the innocents and the ones that you like and kill them the hardest way. Almost get your heart addicted and then screw you over, if you know what I mean. So classic Stephen King there. The twist in the end and what he finds in the tower is kind of amazing. Totally did not expect that. I totally don't remember that. I don't know if maybe I stopped reading once Oy got killed. I don't know, but I don't remember that. So that was amazing. The fact that each book tied into each other, but you could still go to each book, read it by itself, and it would stand on its own. I love that about King. So all in all, the entire Dark Tower series, even though it is like 845 pages, which for me is a huge book, and it has made me I'm not gonna be able to reach my Goodreads goal, which is fine. But long read, hard read, but really worth the read. Anybody who calls themselves a Stephen King fan has to read these books to be a real, true Stephen King fan. So that book is now finished, and I've only got one more book that's related to the series. I actually picked this up at the bookstore, and I didn't know if it had anything to do with the series until I read the back of it, but it's Stephen King, The Wind Through the Keyhole, a Dark Tower novel. Now, the way that I understand is that it's a companion novel, so it's not necessarily part of the series, but it was written to go with the series, I guess. Let me read the back of it. In a storytelling tour de force, Stephen King explores an uncharted corner of the Dark Tower saga, taking place days after Wizard and Glass and the momentous encounter with malignant forces that seek to prevent Roland Deschênes of Geeland and his quartet from completing their quest as they take shelter from a ferocious storm after crossing the River Wye, Rowling begins to tell Eddie and Susanna Dean, Jake Chambers, and Oi, the Billy Brumler, not just one strange story, but two. Tales involving a murderous shapeshifter, a so-called skin man who inspires fear and wonder, fantasies and bedtime stories, and one boy's savagely real nightmares. As he speaks, Rowling also casts a new light on his own troubled past and a world that has moved on. Now, a lot of people will say, why don't you read this right after you did the Wizards and Glass? But the heartbreak of losing all the characters, I think I'm going to need this book just to make me feel better about losing all the characters. So I will let you know how this one goes. This one is basically for a king, a novella. It's 386 pages, so not too terribly long. I do have a book that I'm reading in between these two, my non-fiction book, and then we'll go from there. But thanks very much, guys, for listening to me rant about another book, and I will let you know when I have another book read. Thanks, guys.